organiser and the founder of BirdFair, Tim Appleton.
Thank you.
I'm swallowing you.
Yeah, I guess so. Yes, please, bring me along.
So, yeah, cool, Martin. So, Martin Harper, Chief Executive of BirdLife International, Marquinha Martins, leader of the project in São Tomé and Principe, and Ian Appleton, the surname from eBird. Ian Merlin from eBird.
eBird, yes. Right. Welcome, everybody, to Global BirdFair. Welcome to England's smallest county, Little Rufflin, which we have held our bird fair from 1989 through to this wonderful new site, which we've been now, I think, 2-3 years, and it's just such a wonderful, wonderful site. And a few days ago, a certain gentleman dropped something on my desk, which I thought you might be interested in seeing. I was fascinated by it. Perhaps we could just show a little video, please. It's on the field at first sight, maps on the table, names on the signs, 30 sons of the same small town. We calling the wild things down. Tim with a list and a worn out pen. Penny still laughing, running again. Who would have guessed? Just a crazy idea. Circle the whole world here. This is a song for the bird fair, for the hands that built it year by year, from a muddy track to a million rays, for every wing that ever cuts through haze. Oh, this is a song for the bird fair, for the hope you carried into the air. Lord Tim Appleton, penny by side. Look at the rivers and forests you kept alive. Coffee and stories at dawn, breaks boots by the door. Old name bags, land use of kids with this first pair of borrowed scopes, catching a lifetime of focus. Volunteers stacking chairs in the rain. Auction night, one more painting claimed. Every pound falling into place. A lifeline tied to a far-off place. This is a song for the bird fair, for the hands that built it year by year, from a muddy track to a million rays, for every wing that ever cuts through haze. Oh, this is a song for the bird fair, for the hope you carried into the air. Lord Tim Appleton, penny by side. Look at the rivers, the forests you kept alive. 30, 40, who's still counting all those years? All those mountains from marsh and from the distant shore. You opened the door, then one door more. Boy, every ticket, every late night turned into habitat, turned into sky. All those evenings you were too tired to stand became a singing, flying band. This is a song for the bird fair, for the hands that built it year by year, from a muddy track to a million rays, for every wing that ever cuts through haze. Oh, this is a song for the bird fair, for the hope you carried into the air. Lord Tim Appleton, penny by side. Here's to the bird fair, and the world you kept alive. Brilliant. Fantastic. Wait, don't give me a breather.
for a while, so I'm getting the people to history. Amazing to find it like to find about 250 things to photograph in the end of the year. So wonderful. Thank you guys. Brilliant job indeed. That was, of course, its premiere. So top of the box next week. Now, on a slightly more serious note, a gentleman that couldn't be with us this year, who's supported us for so long, is Beltrán de Ceballos. He's a Spanish chap, and he's got a few words to say to us as well.
Hi everyone, very sorry for not being there with you in this hosting of the Global BirdFair 2026. I've been with you for the last 25 years, it's really amazing. And for me, this week was one of the most important weeks in the year. Going from Southern New England to make friends, and see about birds and especially conservation. I have to admire the effort that Penny and Tim are doing to make this new forward, this new edition of the Global BirdFair, and especially all those programs for conservation, like this year in São Tomé and Principe with those islands endemic birds. I know what Global BirdFair means for conservation in many countries, especially mine, like in Guyana or in Ghana or in Chile. And I have also to remember the big value of volunteers, the home of all those sponsors, exhibitors, and visitors. And for all of us, this is a moment along the year where we meet our friends, today we would speak about all of the opportunities for conservation. In this moment, our goal in the world is becoming a tricky issue. We cannot give up, and we should keep on. And as we keep on, I promise I will be with all of you next edition. Much love for all of you from same each other.
I feel just that the Beltrán, as well as being an incredible Spanish conservationist, helped raise tens of thousands for us by being the door, if you like, the open door for the tourism board in Andalusia, who sponsored various parts of this fair for many, many years. So again, big thanks to them. And bigger thanks, of course, now to BirdLife International and for you all to hear about our amazing project in São Tomé and Principe. Martin Harper, CEO of BirdLife International.
Great, thanks so much. I don't know if Penny's here. Is Penny here? You're always by his side. You are always by his side. And he has to be here. And isn't it fantastic to be back at BirdFair?
I want to use the word control.
Your words, not mine. But just to say, Tim and Penny, what you and your counterparts have achieved over the last 37 years is phenomenal. The direct financial contribution that has been raised for birds and bird life projects over the last 37 years is something like £5.5 million, which in turn has leveraged an additional £40 million. So I don't know where we'd be without Shilling Bird. Thank you. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of an update about the bird life world. And then I'm going to set the scene for my colleague Marquinha, who's on the stage, who's going to give an introduction to the project which BirdFair is supporting this year. And we have a few little special guests, as you will see on the stage, coming up through the course of this opening ceremony. So can I just check, how many of you know BirdLife International? Put your hands up. How many of you have never heard of BirdLife International? Don't know much of you? It's okay to say you don't never heard of this. Anyway, so hopefully this audience is a warm audience. You all know us really well. And this tries to describe why we exist, who we are, and what we do. And to be honest, I think I sometimes sum it up as saying what we're trying to do is to try and create great big bird and nature-loving societies across the whole of the planet. So in the end, we live in harmony with the rest of the natural world. And our flock has grown. Just last week, we've announced that the Samoa Conservation Society have joined the BirdLife family as our latest partner. So we now have 125 partner organizations in 120 countries and territories around the world. And you can see a little bit of our incredible reach, supported by 6,500 local groups, 8,000 passionate staff across the whole of the community. And that is what I love about BirdLife. We're a grassroots organization trying to affect change from the local to the global. I've just released the stats about describing the collective impacts of our community, but you can see them all here today because we did a survey of our partners, and it helps us describe what is our collective impact to nature. And as you can see from the stats here, enormous amount of work to save threatened species, to protect and restore sites, especially important bird areas, but also take responsibility for managing these sites to their improved. But also we are trying to mobilize millions of people to affect change all around the world. So we are a big global partnership, we have real capacity, and we're having incredible impact around the world. And in many ways, the example of how we come together is through our work on flyways, because of course birds know no borders, and they connect us across countries, continents, and ocean currents. And through the BirdLife Network, we are trying to deliver a really audacious wild ambition to try and ensure that we have a equally coherent network of sites across all of the great flyways of the world, ensuring that they're also flying free from harm. And because our BirdLife partners are in most parts of the world, it means that we can deal with the threats whatever they face. And it's not just about land, it's also about the marine flyways. And many of you were here a couple of years ago will have seen the groundbreaking scientific research that our guys did based on our seabird tracking database. And not only did they find where these birds go, they showed that they had some really faithful migration routes on themselves in the marine environment. And we've been able to identify these 6 marine flyways, and I'm going to come back in due course to explain how that's driving conservation. And the next slide, you are not allowed to tweet or release to anybody, because it's a very, very sneak preview of a really important piece of publication that's going to be coming out later this year. So every 4 years, BirdLife produces a comprehensive assessment of the state of the world's birds. And this year, we're going to be also doing a little bit of a spotlight of what's happening to migratory birds. So do not take photographs, just look at it, be impressed, and wait until September. But essentially, what this message is saying that in all of the great flyways of the world, whether they're terrestrial, whether they're marine, the migratory birds are in trouble. And the big headline stat is like 46% of all migratory bird species are at risk. So we know that migration is an incredible feature of the natural world. We know that migratory birds are in trouble. So the question is, what are we doing about it? And I'm just going to give you 4 examples of some of the work that BirdLife is doing across our partnership to try and help save migratory birds. So this little circle in the middle is a bit like our theory of change. You have very strong science, which helps us identify conservation problems and hopefully solutions. We have a strong partnership, but then we intervene in these 4 different ways. And just these 4 little photographs give you an illustration of the sort of things that we're doing. So the first thing to say is, of course, we're trying to deal with the direct threats that species are facing wherever they're going, particularly things like illegal killing of birds. So in the Mediterranean, we reported about a decade ago, there was something like 25 million birds which were being killed illegally, traded, or poisoned. And we then advocated to try and ensure that governments took more action. So we influenced the UN Convention on Migratory Species to establish what's called the Global Action Plan to reduce the amount of illegal killing by 50% by the end of this decade. I have to say, thanks to incredible work of our partners operating in 22 countries across the Mediterranean, we've reported just this year that something like we've managed to secure a 20% reduction in some of those countries. We've got much more to do, but we're showing how through strong legal enforcement, through strong work with the local authority, we can get rid of this one of this most pernicious threats to migratory birds. And I should say, and I'm going to give you a plug here, that if you want to hear more about our work on tackling illegal killing around the world, my colleague's family is going to be giving a talk tomorrow on the Trumpet stage at 10:30, and it's all about the global fight to end IPB. So I'd encourage you to go to watch that one. And then just moving around the wheel, this little image here is of the flamingo protests in Tirana in Albania. I don't know how many of you have heard about what's been happening in Albania. I think there's like a smattering number of you have been watching this story. Amazing to see tens of thousands of people going to the streets of the Albanian capital to oppose development in the Vjosa Nate protected area, which is one of the last great sort of river systems in Europe. And it's home to more than 200 bird species, including greater flamingo population, Dalmatian pelican, and it's threatened by development. And this runs completely counter to Albanian rules. It runs counter to European Union laws, because remember, Albania wants to accede to Europe. And so it just so happens that colleagues from across the BirdLife network were on a field trip to Albania, to this site, just as the bulldozers were going into the site. So we made representations to the Albanian government, to the European Commission, to try and oppose this development. And we also helped raise media profile. And if you ever want to see a politician in trouble in an interview, watch the CNN interview of the Albanian Prime Minister, who is lying on camera about the fact there was no development taking place when you can literally see bulldozers going to the site. The good news is that thanks to this campaign and the incredible people at the streets of Tirana, the development's paused, but we are not out of the woods yet. And it's just an incredible example about how BirdLife Trons are standing up to save some of the most important sites for wildlife in their own country, but of course in terms of migratory birds. And the image on the far left really relates to incredible work that the marine conservation community have been doing to try and encourage greater protection of our marine environment. And this photograph was taken in Nice last year, which was just prior to the adoption of the High Seas Treaty designed to protect biodiversity beyond national jurisdiction, essentially protecting the protecting the commons. And what we are trying to do is we are trying to ensure that all of our data we have about where seabirds are going are used to then try and ensure new sites on the high seas are protected. And just in March this year, there was a really significant moment when governments agreed to adopt the marine flyways, which I presented earlier, as the framework to encourage international action to protect seabirds and other migratory species in the marine environment. So again, providing that common frame. And then the bottom left, and this is probably the most significant development, which some of you will be aware of, who've been watching the BirdLife work over the last few years. We've been trying to find investment partners to try and help us deliver that wild ambition of a network of sites well protected around the world. And we know there's a massive biodiversity fund here. So we partnered with multilateral development banks, starting with the Asian Development Bank, but then also the Latin Development Bank, the Caribbean and Latin America, but also the World Bank. And what we're trying to do is influence their lending to those states to ensure that migratory birds are taken into account into the infrastructure that they are developing in those countries, but also try and get them to invest in some of the most critical sites to benefit birds, to benefit people, and of course to benefit the climate. So there is an enormous amount of good stuff happening in the world, in BirdLife's world, and across all of our flyways agenda. But as we know, the world's very messy at the moment, it's very, very volatile. It's been a very turbulent year. We have wars raging, I think, in 25 countries around the world at the moment. We know what's happening in Ukraine, we know what's happening in the Middle East. And of course, they're all experiencing the impact of extreme heat and extreme weather, not just here, but of course around the world, where there's flooding or the fires that are raging in Belgium's country at the moment, in Spain. And so as a result of this, we as BirdLife, we decided we need to take stock on our strategy. And we are hopefully going to be adopting this strategy at our global partnership meeting. Our partnership comes together once every 4 years, and we're going to be meeting in Nairobi to agree what are we going to achieve over the next 4 years. And we're also convening a global flyway summit on the back of this meeting to celebrate what we've achieved over the last few years for flyway conservation, and to hopefully find more support over the coming years. And just so you know, if we raise any money, which we will, we know, for the São Tomé and Principe project, which you're going to hear about in a moment, then Tim and Penny are going to be coming to Nairobi and they're going to be handing over a check and that meeting in September this year. So we're really looking forward to that. And my little segue to my next speaker is a new initiative that we're going to be launching at our Global Partnership meeting, which is called the Global BirdSong Initiative. And can I just check, is that video playing? Because you should be able to hear some birdsong. Maybe I have to click it. Oh, there you go. Okay. Very delicate. So, essentially, we're running this project. We've invited each of our partners to come up with, to recommend a bird that reflects their organisation. And then we're trying to weave together essentially a bird song based upon the incredible diversity of BirdLife partners, basically coming to the language of birdsong. That is our language, trying to connect people through the wonder of birds. And while this is being played, we can see what Merlin is sticking up. But if you can hear in this piece, you can share it with me. I'd want to listen to this first time. I've got a couple, but I don't know. Anyone wants to be near the birds? São Tomé and Principe, as someone say. Come on. Gapakeli, there we go. So I've got here, I definitely picked up Skylar. I don't know if we've got through that now. So from Myanmar, white-throated babbler. From Indonesia, bare-throated whistler. From Philippines, Silicon froggle. From the UK, skylark. From Germany, the white stork. From South Africa, new crane. Gapakeli from Lithuania. Victor swan from Finland. Giant honey eater from Fiji. American bittern from the American Bird Conservancy. And Poo from Italy. Anyway, we're going to have there you go. We're going to have more than 120 bird songs all woven together, and we're going to be making a much more impressive chatting that with a little bit of music. We're going to be airing that at the Global Partnership meeting in Nairobi. And this is taking place in partnership with the wonderful people at Cornell Lab of Ornithology, and of course behind eBird and this amazing app called Merlin. And we're delighted to be partnering with them. And I'm now going to hand over to Ian from Cornell, Ian Davis, who's going to say a little bit about I always get the name wrong of this initiative, I'm going to get in trouble if Ian says. Anyway, Ian's going to talk to you about the big year of African sounds. So over to Ian.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much, Martin. And thanks to Tim and Penny for another wonderful bird fair. So excited to be here and see everyone again. As Martin mentioned, we've been really excited to work together over the last year or two around the big year of African sounds. And so this is really trying to celebrate the joy of bird sound. You know, all of us go out every day, whether in your garden or traveling somewhere, and see and hear and experience birds through the wonder of sound. And as you know, Martin mentioned, and Tim was just doing, many folks are doing that through Merlin. I don't know if some folks in this room have ever used Merlin before, but it's something that, you know, is connecting more than 40 million people now with birds around the world. And we're really excited to develop Merlin more in Africa. And so that's why we, in partnership with BirdLife International and many other groups, are working this year on the big year of African sounds. And what we're really trying to do together is develop a sound recording community and sound archive across Africa, in places where there aren't as many sound recordings shared with the world as some other regions. And so this year, one of the goals is to record 1,800 species of birds, sound record, from more than 50 countries, and document what's going on. And this is, as Martin mentioned, something that, you know, we're working on together, the BirdLife family, many other partners. You know, here on the right, you can see some workshops we did with Nature Tanzania, a BirdLife partner, earlier this year. In Nairobi, at the meeting Martin was mentioning, we'll be working with groups in Kenya and elsewhere. You know, groups like Planet Birdsong that are here at the Bird Fair this weekend, and so many more, all coming together to share the love of birds and the love of bird song. And so far, almost 1,500 species have already been sound recorded in Africa. And this is something that, to me, is the power of people, the power of all of us in this tent and on this campground and all around the world who love birds, love what they see and hear, and share that with others. So keep an eye out to see how this continues to develop in São Tomé and elsewhere. And maybe the next time, if you're traveling to Africa or if you're from there, please go out and make some bird sound recordings, share those with eBird, and share them with the Big Ear of African Sound and everything you'll hear about today. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks so much, Ian. What Cornell is doing to make birding accessible to people around the world is just phenomenal, and we're just in awe of what you're doing. So before I introduce Marquinha, I just wanted to do just a little bit of an intro into our work in Africa. So obviously, as a continent, incredibly important for biodiversity. 25% of the world's biodiversity found on this continent. And fortunately, we have a very powerful set of partners, including the 27 which are listed here. And I have circled São Tomé and Principe just in case you didn't know where this incredible archipelago was. But before we just move on to São Tomé itself, I want to tell a little story about the incredible impact of BirdFair and what it can do to support BirdLife's country programs mature. So in São Tomé and Principe, this is the only BirdLife country program we have at the moment. We normally have partners, but 27 years ago, in 1999, BirdFair raised funding for the Atlantic forests, which then supported the BirdLife country program in Brazil. And 5 years after that, the country program turned itself into an independent NGO called Salve Brazil, and is now one of the most respected, amazing organizations in Brazil. And BirdFair started that. And I'm absolutely delighted to say that the outgoing director, who's been the director for 22 years, Pedro Deverly, is in the audience today. Give him a round of applause. So, with your support for attending BirdFair, effectively raising money for this project you're about to this Marquinha, I'm just trying to give you the indication that you can have this incredible, lasting legacy. Hopefully we can do for São Tomé and Principe what BirdFair did for Brazil 27 years ago. And with that, I'm going to hand the floor to my amazing colleague Marquinha to talk to you all about preventing unextinctions on São Tomé and Principe. Marquinha. Sorry, Marquinha.
It's okay. Please, this is high enough, and I don't need to stand on a bench. So, imagine London. Now, take out 150 kilometers square, then São Tomé and Principe. São Tomé and Principe are two tiny islands in the Gulf of Guinea, whose area is only 1,001 kilometers square, divided into two islands. It's quite small, but what we lack in size, we are compensating in biodiversity. For such a small islands, we have exceptionally high numbers of endemic species, and that's way more visible when you talk about bird species, when you talk about amphibians, reptiles. And São Tomé is actually, in my this morning talk, I shared a fact that is really interesting. Is that São Tomé and Principe is the only island country that exceeds the average of 1 to 2 endemic species per area. And that's amazing for such a small country to have that number of endemics. But we are not just hotspots for birds. We are, if I learn how to do this, actually I did, but I'm going backwards. Okay. We are actually home to the second most important forest for protection of birds in Africa, and the country is now considered the first country whose total area is UNESCO Reserve of Biosphere, which brings a lot of responsibility for protection, but also to find solution that will balance conservation on one hand and sustainable development, community development in other hand. We, as BirdLife in São Tomé and Principe, our work is being driven by this balance. How to actually find balance between human need and conservation. And that's what we have been doing for so long. And since 2028, the BirdLife has been active in São Tomé and Principe, and we have achieved wonderful results. We have worked with protected areas to find effective management models. We have also supported environmental laws. We have worked with communities, but also increased knowledge. And this can be summarized in these 4 A's that combines our approach that will bring people, will bring knowledge, will bring law enforcement, but it will also bring sustainable solutions, sustainable funding mechanisms. We are working in São Tomé, hoping to leave a legacy where conservation will result in healthy environment, birds protected, local communities empowered, but also skill and resources being provided to local people to take action without help of project. And once BirdLife leaves, they are able to do it autonomously. And why birds? São Tomé and Principe is home to more than 63 species. And from these 63, 28 are endemic from São Tomé and Principe, and 16 of these endemic species are globally threatened, with 5 of them critically endangered, which are the São Tomé skull owl, the São Tomé fiscal, Principe thrush, rough iris, and grosbeak. And why these species specifically? Because they are actually very reduced in number, but also they are highly dependent on forests. And we're gonna get a little bit more into detail about that. But let me just share with you the project, the initiative to which the BirdFair support will consolidate. So we started in 2024, an initiative that aimed at transforming hunters, because one of the main biodiversity threats was hunting. So we decided, okay, how are we gonna work with hunters? Should we have a different approach? An approach that we found more effective was to look at them as solution and not part of the threat. And as such, with hunters, we have created a network of hunters that are that are called champions of change. And these champions of change have trained 75 hunters. They have also worked with scientists to identify sites, to identify the behavior of these birds, where they are, and what's the best time of the day to find them. And also they work on awareness raising. So all of this has created momentum. They are hunters that have now been converted into field assistants for research. They are knowledges, they are people sensitized, but it's important to continue investing in that. Investing in relationship, but also investing in robust monitoring system. And that's where BirdFair comes in. The BirdFair will help us to consolidate knowledge about 3 flagship species, which are the São Tomé ibis, very famous due to this initiative, the fiscal, but also the grosbeak. So what we are going with this project is we are actually going to leverage all the results that we have achieved with the first initiative in 2024 by carrying out field survey to build and the knowledge about the species, where they are specifically, how many are there, what they eat, how they interact. All of these information will help us to find a more tailored approach to the conservation. And this work will be done with hunters. they are already working conservation. So it's important to continue. So the hunters will be working on field collecting data, but also collaborating with researchers with whom we already have a partnership and already work in progress. We will also continue working with university and students. That's important. Why? Because most of the action plan for these species are updated, and we want biodiversity to be also mainstream within the national curriculum. So it's a way of bringing in children into the project, and also having enough information to be shared within the scientific community, but also local community, and informing decision-making for these species. Of course, transversally, the project continues to work on strengthening capacity of hunters, but also local authorities that have the responsibility of managing the hunting activities in the countries, and continue to work in awareness raising. On awareness raising specifically, we have adopted a more dynamic approach to awareness raising by implementing games specifically for children, but also for adults. This game is called Biodiversity Game, where the players kind of impersonate the bird, and they have to travel across the forest to reach the nest. But while they are traveling, they will face many challenges that actual birds are facing. The idea of this game is to give them the perspective of how hard it is to be a bird, but also for them to understand the impacts that the intervention, action have on those species. And of course, we want to have theater, which is something that we have found very constructive and very effective when working with the communities. It's more visual. So bringing in theater to reach the community. So with this project, in summary, we want to improve science as it's the base solid of the project. We want to invest in local community, but investment in what exists, the relationship that's already built, and we are also helping to buy the wildlife in São Tomé and Principe. I would like to end my intervention by sharing with you that why this funding is so important for the project in São Tomé and Principe. Usually, flexible fundings are quite hard to find, and they are very valuable, because it's actually these fundings that help us to make a difference in the work that we are doing. It gives us freedom to actually focus on the gaps that most of the projects, most of the funders do not accept. And it also helps us to collect information we need before even secure larger funds. It will leverage on future funding. Plus, it also gives us the confidence to invest in people, to invest in process, which is not possible with restricted funding. And for that, I would like to thank once again Tim and Penny for this wonderful support for organizing all of this, but of course, thanking the BirdFair collaborators, all of you that are here, they're also contributing for the protection of our endemic island birds. And please leave here with one message. Your contribution can make a difference. It doesn't matter how big, how small it is. So thank you for your time.
We're very lucky to have Marquinha and the team of São Tomé and Principe, and hopefully you'll all agree that the investment that BirdFair will make in São Tomé is going to be spectacular. Just before we wrap up, there's one thing I wanted to ask. How many of you have been to São Tomé and Principe? Hands up. Okay, based on what you've heard, did you have a good time when you were there? Yeah. So based on what you've heard, how many of you would like to go to São Tomé and Principe? There we go. Right, so both me teeing up, two colleagues, Rachel and Dan Brown, they are going to be running a trip to São Tomé and Principe, raising money for this project. So it's an opportunity for you to put your next holiday.
Yes, so my name is Rachel Brown, and this is my husband, Dan Brown. And we ran a wildlife watching tour company called Wild Discovery. And we're based in Scotland, and we ran wildlife watching tours throughout Scotland and the UK, but also in many other places around the world. And in our tours, it's very important to us, it's rooted deep in our ethos that conservation is incorporated into those tours. Not only to support the places that we go to and visit and enjoy, but also to give you, our guests, a more in-depth, meaningful experience. This year, we are incredibly proud to announce that we have partnered with the Global BirdFair to be able to run a tour to São Tomé and Principe, and the profits of which will go to this project as well to help support. I know Dan will talk a bit more about the concept.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rachel. Just these. Yes, as you've already heard, projects like this are so multi-layered, and we take it for granted when we go out visiting wildlife reserves or we go on holiday looking for wildlife, that things are where they are, and it's generally often a reserve you visit or a protected area, but there's a huge amount of work that goes into the background of protecting the areas, of understanding the key species, and of managing. And it's great to be able to support a project where you can be drip feeding into individuals, into businesses, and into communities. So you are basically advocating and supporting the value of nature-based tourism. And that's something, as Richard said, that we like to do across all our tours, but places like São Tomé will be classic examples of areas that you can visit and actively support that. And it's a great opportunity for you, if you are interested in visiting this archipelago, to do so knowing that you are supporting the project that Global BirdFair and are championing this year. So if you're interested in finding out more about it, we are in São Tomé and Principe, which is just across the way. We are S104. Do come over and have a chat to us, and you can find out more information on the website. But once again, it's fantastic to be involved and to hopefully support this project in many different ways. So thank you very much, Tim and Penny, and thank you very much, BirdLife and São Tomé.
What are you on, Dave? Well, I'm getting for this trip. Oh my God. 28th of November to the 6th of December. Thank you, Rachel.
Great, thanks very much. That's pretty much it. So please do have a chat with Marquinha, with Ian after this event. I think the next one starts, Nigel, on the hour. Is that right? 4 o'clock. Anyway, thanks very much. Wonderful BirdFair family.